was a lack of access to water, or if they didn't feel safe enough even in that situation here. And in the meantime, the park police have pushed us back yet again, including giving my photographer and I a little bit of a boost, getting out of the area here as they try to create a little bit more space. But I want to direct you to this, because this is what this is really all about. This is still peaceful protesters trying to come out here and express their anger, their frustration, their exhaustion with what is going on in this country when it comes to police brutality and police violence. These people are trying to do this peacefully. They've been trying to self-police, the folks who have been here throwing rocks and bottles and fireworks, so that they can deliver this message to this exact audience, these police officers, to the man who lives in the house temporarily down the street. They're trying to make a very clear point right now. And in the face of all of this, now with most of the crowd gone, with most of the bottle throwing, the rock throwing, the pepper spraying done, they're doing exactly that.
It's hard to find a place to begin the story of what we're seeing play out in front of the White House, where so much history has taken place. And in days of old, presidents used to enjoy a morning walk over that very same acreage. But in many ways, you could look at it this way. What Steve Jobs started in wanting us to have the portability of a phone that was also a camera that allowed us to converse with complete strangers on the other side of the world. You cut from there to a man who hands a $20 bill over in a convenience store in Minneapolis. $20 bill turns out to be a fake. Minutes later, the life is draining from his body. George Floyd, the late George Floyd, is no more. The police officer whose knee we saw to Mr. Floyd's neck has been charged with murder. Not the degree to which the folks on the streets of this country want to see. 3 other police officers involved are free to watch this tonight at home with their families. That's not what the protesters want to see or hear. And in the mix, the complication of what Frank Figliuzzi outlined to us. Other actors, harder to see, harder to convince people of, harder to sniff out, harder to identify, but they're in there. They're a part of this. It's what the protesters don't recognize about aspects of the protest movement. And the violence, the looting we saw tonight on live television, to the point where people were fleeing on foot, running away, trying to escape into our cameras, is a kind of intersection of anger and opportunity with a pandemic and an economic collapse mixed in. And that brings us to the top of the 11 p.m. hour on the East Coast. If you were watching hours ago, I thank my friend Katie Turr for pointing out that we were pointing to the wrong bridge on live television. What we meant to say was the Manhattan and not the Brooklyn Bridge. Would that had been the biggest problem we were cataloging tonight. But Katie, as I pass it over to you, this is the nation you get to describe next.